Welcome to the Freedom Cities podcast, where we explore bold new ideas in city building and improving regulation in the United States. Hello, and welcome to the Freedom Cities podcast. I'm joined by Professor Tom W. Bell. Tom, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you work on?
Of course. As you noted, Prof. Tom W. Bell, for about 30 years, I've been a law professor here at Chapman, and for recent years, working half-time on special jurisdiction projects. I've written about it. I wrote, if not a book about special jurisdictions, and now it's become kind of my professional life. And I'm going to go pursue special jurisdiction projects now, and not retirement, but simply my career change.
Cool, great. What are some of the, in addition to your academic work, what are some of the most kind of exciting projects that you've worked on, and where do you see the space kind of moving next?
Well, long-term, the trend is really great from my point of view. I have good things to say about special jurisdictions done correctly. What I'm working on, let's see, my main client is Free Society Limited, and they have a big project which is just about to launch. We've been meeting with top government officials. I know, Mark, you've been through this yourself. It's easy to get too optimistic, but anyhow, I can't talk about that. It's going to be, basically, I can say it'll be the first free, private, decentralized city. I'll put it that way. Kind of like a super HOA plus Monaco. So that's going to launch soon. My most recent projects that are up and running are the Catawba Digital Economic Zone that's here in the United States are on tribal lands. And I basically worked on building the legislation for that. And it runs a kernel of Ulex, which is this open source operating system, legal operating system that I wrote. And Prospera runs the Ulex kernel too. So basically on that side, Mark, I think of myself as a bit like a coder with legal systems. My firm, Archimediate LLC, through which I do consulting work, offers legal system design, installation, and support. Legal system design, installation, and support. And part of that's been creating the Ulex, we could say, kernel. It's like a Linux kernel that runs in your Android phone. And so Ulex now, I've got it installed in a couple places, actually part of Ulex. I won't geek out on the coding side, but basically Prospera runs a chunk of Ulex. The Catawba Digital Economic Zone runs a chunk of Ulex, and the Free Cities project also will run a chunk of Ulex. It'll run the most complete implementation of Ulex yet. I'm very excited about that.
Great. What is Ulex?
Ulex, it's an open source, I call it a legal system, although admittedly to really create a system of governance, you need other stuff attached to Ulex. It's basically your core code, lays out the rules of litigation and how courts work, that sort of thing. And it mostly, shockingly to people, it's very conservative in a sense. I know most people kind of, they don't understand it or gasp at first, but it's really quite logical. And it's conservative in that it mostly incorporates trusted standards like the restatements of the common law and American Law Institute's work there, and the ULC's Uniform Commercial Codes. It's a flag-free. I think of it as a flag-free, because all these sources are private, a flag-free legal system. And it's open source. You can find it on GitHub. The version on GitHub is a little out of date. I have to document better. And it's 1.2. I'm going to roll out 2.0 after Free Cities goes public with their new project. I'm very excited about 2.0, and I hope to have it installed. And basically, I'll be frank about it, in lots of governments, because I'm like Linus Torvalds. It's my thing. He did Linux. He's living a great life, helping people do wonderful things. I kind of admire that. I'd like to emulate that.
Great. And recently you've written a little bit about Freedom Cities. You've gotten some draft legislation. So kind of how'd you get interested, involved, excited about Freedom Cities?
Well, for me, like you, Mark, and others in this growing community, it was irresistible. Regardless of the source, the idea of creating what I'll call special jurisdictions in America, very appealing to me. I've always wanted to bring special jurisdictions home, and I've gotten really close with the Catawba Digital Economic Zone, although, it's on tribal lands, and I respect that as a separate jurisdiction from the U.S. federal government, state governments, which is where I live. And there are problems, and I'm here to help. I think the way to help make government better here at home is through special jurisdictions. I would think that, it's my hammer and everything looks like a nail, but we need expert hammerers, and I'm that guy. And Freedom Cities offers a chance to create the next and best generation of special jurisdictions right here at home. And if we do it right, big if, wonderful things would come of that. I love and fear for my country. I want to help it. I got kids living here. I want this place to work well, and this is my way of trying to make that happen.
Cool. And so, in addition to the Orange County Register, yeah, but you linked to also kind of draft legislation. So, can you give us a high level overview of that draft legislation and where you hope to see it move to next?
I'd love to. I hope I don't geek out too much. Let me first observe, nobody asked me to write this legislation. Nobody has paid me, offered me money. I did it. Well, love is a sticky word. I did it because I'm fascinated with these topics and I couldn't resist. So anyhow, I wrote this draft. It's called the Freedom City Act. It's a draft. And the thing I saw, Mark, was a lot of people like me getting excited about the idea of unleashing freedom here in America and encouraging innovation and giving families homes. It's a beautiful vision, but very few people I found had thought through the legal side. Now, I've taught con law and I've written a lot about con law and I've thought about con law, and I realized it's not an easy task, but I think I found a way. That's what this legislation does. It stays within the confines of our Constitution to create these, not autonomous, not quite that, but these special jurisdictions where a great many of the usual state and federal rules don't apply. Instead, there are local rules that are being tried out. Crafting the law that let that happen was difficult, but I think I got a pretty good structure. I'm letting other people take a look at it. Nobody yet has said all wrong. And the short of it is, maybe I should pause there, Mark. I'm about ready to say, here's how it happens, but maybe that's too in the weeds.
No, let's go in the weeds.
Let's go in the weeds. Okay. Well, basically, what you have to have, I think, is a federal enclave land. Now, you know about this, Mark, because you advocated, I think it was you and Nick Allen wrote a piece about turning the Presidio in San Francisco into a freedom city. And as you noted, it's federal enclave land. And basically, on federal enclave land, you say to the state authorities, back off. This is federal territory. Only, this is an exaggeration, but basically only federal law applies here. And there's a lot of federal land in this country, as you know. Almost a third of the United States, its territorial area is federal land. It's shocking. Not all of that is federal enclave land. Stuff like military bases, the Presidio used to be a military base, and national monuments, a few other places. So the statute leverages federal enclave lands. This is step one, to push back state law. Now it's purely federal. So that gets rid of state law. Again, I'm exaggerating for effect, but basically, yeah, it tells the states back off. It's federal land now. Supremacy clause. And then with regard to federal law, the Freedom City Board waives and or exempts the territories chosen to be freedom cities from a long list of federal laws and regulations. Now, this is, I rush to say, not simply deregulation. It's more like re-regulation, or the idea is no one's saying you don't have to pay for government services in the zone. No, you got to pay. Normally we do that with taxes. You're going to find another way, and you're going to set this up. This is what you say to the developers. Set it up so the board is okay with this. You have, among the many criteria you're supposed to satisfy, is generating revenue. So what this means, just to take income taxes, or maybe capital gains taxes, or both. Basically, you can have those by statute. The statute removes specifically the Internal Revenue Code, but also some other statutes from application in the Freedom Cities. And then it says to the board, you can waive or exempt the zones from other select federal regulations. And with regard to taxes, the idea is we will find new ways to raise revenue for government. Not going to get rid of it. And ditto down the line. Oh, you get to pollute and everyone's going to breathe in radioactive dust. No, but maybe there's another way to do this besides NEPA. Go give it a go. Give it a try. You're going to be constrained by law, by the Constitution, by oversight of the board, by private litigation if you pollute the neighbors. Lots of ways to keep these cities in safe bounds, but within those bounds to let them innovate. And it's not just to create new cool stuff like flying cars, which Trump specifically mentioned. And I want flying cars too. I want to be absolutely clear about that. But it's not just that. It's a whole range of things. And even the regulators, the current regulators, they should be excited about this. Why? This is their sandbox too. This is their sandbox too. It's a chance for all of us to find regulations that work better than what we have. Now, maybe we're doing it perfectly now. I kind of doubt that. Let's find out. By doing what? These little experiments are limited in space. They're confined by law, and they're limited in time. They only run for 99 years. So on a number of fronts, it's contained, and hopefully we'll get innovation both in technologies and in business models and in regulation, and we can all learn from that and make the rest of the country better. That's how they did in China. I'm not a fan of everything they do in government in China, but I got to say they leverage zones to pull off an economic miracle.
Great. And let's say your law gets passed or some version of the law gets passed. what's like the best case scenario? How do we get there in the next 5 and 10 years?
Well, I got to say I'm impatient like everybody. 5 or 10 years.
2
We
years.
should have some infrastructure going. But, we are talking about stuff that has to be built, a lot of it, and that takes time, alas. Anyhow, best case scenario. Well, Trump said 10. He said 10 cities. And I've had people actually, and I wrote that into the act. And by the way, Trump should grab this act and hold on to it tightly and raise it up high. Why? Because Trump wants to leave a legacy. Most of what he does in his term is writ as if on water. The next administration, it could even be Republican, could very easily erase everything he has worked so hard to achieve. Can't do that with the Freedom City. If he creates these Freedom Cities, they won't go away for 99 years. The statute includes what we call in other contexts, when you're dealing, as you know, Mark, when you're dealing with another country, you talk about investor protection, like legal stability clauses. This draft act includes basically legal stability provisions in the act so that whoever follows Trump cannot simply walk in with a pen and put a red X in it. No, it's going to last 99 years. And I can say more about that. So anyhow, we get them up and running, and they get up and running because Trump loves them. One of them is going to be called Trumpopolis, or whatever name he chooses. It'll be the one with the most gold. And they will be 10 of them up and running. It's going to be a great circus, attract a lot of attention, and not all of them are going to be good, actually. We should expect some of them to fail because that shows we push the envelope. It's enough that a bunch of them succeed. 5, 10 years, we could have considerable investment. We got to move quickly. The board has to make decisions within, I think it gave it 30 days. So the board does have a fire lit under it. Trump was actually brilliant. Just pick 10. Why? Because that lights a fire under potential developers. They got to get in line fast, or you're going to miss out on this opportunity. I also like the kind of game show aspect we could give it. Trump's really good at what he does, and he does politics and kind of entertainment, and that's what this could be. So lots of excitement, lots of good applications, some really good applications that really work. 5, 10 years, we get people, golly, yeah, you could start moving there. We'll innovate in mobile and rapid construction, right? Mobile housing and rapid construction. Let's innovate there. 10 years, sure, we could have some fab plants up and running, AI data centers using nuclear power, locally permitted, of course. Yeah, and from that, the economic growth will only be starting then, 5, 10 years. It's going to be a lot of upfront capital investment. But importantly, the federal government is going to get sweet, fat checks almost from day one. And ditto the state governments, by the way. The bill talks about how, for example, if a state loses sales tax revenue, it's only fair to get compensation. Ditto if you're using a state infrastructure. You got your Freedom City out there in Utah somewhere. Well, Utah has a lot of roads leading up there, and now there's all this traffic, etc. So checks for everybody right off the bat helps us with our dire financial circumstances in our government. The state's not so bad, but the federal government is going to get some serious hurt and drag us all down if it doesn't get new revenue. So we get that new revenue, and other cities already, right? Poughkeepsie looks kind of over the fence and says, dang it, a lot of capital investments going over there, including some businesses. What are they doing right? That's how it worked in China. Basically, it looked over the fence first at Hong Kong. What are they doing right there? Because they're not starving by the millions. And then it replicated from Shenzhen all through China. Well, we can have the same thing here with freedom. We'll do it with freedom without the communism.
Great. And are there any questions that you wish I asked you, but I did not?
So we talked about why Trump should love this. You and I already talked, Mark, about kind of where things are going. And I guess what I would say is certainly more interest than at first. Trump made the announcement, got a little press, kind of went away. A year ago, as you observed to me earlier, nobody was talking about it. And people like you, bless your heart, and CCI and a bunch of other people, there's 2 groups that are pushing this, are trying to make it happen. I'm doing my part too. What should you have asked me? How likely is it to succeed? No, I'm afraid there I had to give you an honest and very low percent. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want people to feel this could happen. It should happen. If we do it right, it'll be a big win. I'll say this, it won't happen if we don't try. That's why I wrote the statute. I know it won't happen if we don't try. So let's try, brother. Let's try to make this happen. And let's hope it does.
Yeah, I mean, my read is the best bet is probably before midterms because the Dems are likely to retake Congress in midterms. It's definitely going to be tricky given it's not high on the legislative priority list now. But I do think there is broader energy that causes this idea to survive. Maybe not Trump's version of it, but a different version of it beyond the midterms and maybe into future administrations where it'll linger out there and hope for the right time, the right kind of push, the right impetus that gets it across the border. So I think, yeah, like my read is, let's make a really hard short-term push, but let's also kind of lay the groundwork that hopefully can be picked up in the future if there is a sympathetic administration or Congress down the line as well.
I think that's a good strategy. I don't know that we can do much difference. I certainly agree. Hard push right now before midterms. That's our ideal spot. I was hoping Trump was going to have this big bill, a lot of stuff packed in it, and this would have been a perfect vehicle. I don't see that happening, but you're closer to DC than me. I just kind of sit out here in my cubicle and crank out code and hope it sticks somewhere.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Mark. Keep up the good work.
This is Mark Lutter, and thanks for joining the Freedom Cities podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more conversations.